Hello, welcome to another video on our channel. Here we translate testimonies from people who have had near-death experiences and other spiritual experiences. Today we are going to know the story of Jimena Alvarez. She says she died, spoke to God, and saw the future. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. Leave a comment with your name and city. Now let's listen to Jimena's testimony. Hi, my name is Jimena Alvarez, and I'm 40 years old. I'm here today, August 3rd, 2024, to share a story that changed my life completely. Not long ago, I married Gabriel, an incredible man who came into my life in a way that I can only describe as destiny. I already have 4 children from a previous marriage, but Gabriel and I decided to have a child together. It was during this pregnancy that I had a near-death experience that transformed everything I believed about life, love, and the future of humanity. Before I dive into this crazy story, let me explain a little more about who I was. I've always been a down-to-earth person, you know? No believing in supernatural things or thinking too much about the future. My life was pretty normal, taking care of my children, working, and now enjoying my new marriage. But everything changed after what happened at the hospital. I know a lot of people might think I'm crazy. Sometimes I wonder if it was all real. But what I experienced, what I felt, there's no way to explain it. It was so intense, so true, that it completely changed who I am. And that's why I decided to tell this story today, especially because I feel like something important is about to happen this month. So, get ready. The story I'm going to tell is not the easiest. There are difficult moments of fear, of pain. But there are also moments of beauty that I didn't even know existed. It's the story of how I almost died giving birth to my 5th child, and how it made me see God, the future, and everything else in a completely new way. I don't expect you to believe everything I'm going to say. I only ask that you listen with an open heart. Who knows? Maybe you'll find something that makes sense to you too. After all, if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that we're all connected in ways we can't even imagine. When Gabriel and I decided to have a child together, it was pure joy. He had never been a father before, and seeing his enthusiasm was so beautiful. The pregnancy started smoothly, you know? I had already been through this 4 times, so I thought I knew everything that could happen. My 2 oldest children were born naturally in a good way. The twins, who are the youngest, were born by cesarean section. Everything was planned, no problems. So when I got pregnant this time, I didn't even worry too much. The doctors said everything was fine, that I could have a normal birth in peace. But then a week before the due date, a strange thing happened. I had a dream, or a vision, I don't know. I saw the scar from my previous cesarean opening. It was so real, so scary, that I woke up in a panic. I told Gabriel, and we decided to talk to the doctor. I asked for a cesarean section and explained what I had seen. But they said it wasn't possible, that I was safe to have a natural birth. Look, I should have insisted more. I should have trusted my intuition. But we always think that doctors know more, right? So I let it go. I tried to convince myself that it was just end of pregnancy jitters. The days passed and that bad feeling wouldn't go away. I tried to distract myself, occupy myself with preparations for the baby. Gabriel was adorable, excited about tidying up his room, buying clothes. The other 4 were also excited to meet their little brother. 5 days after that vision, my water broke. It started with a few light contractions, nothing major. Gabriel took me to the hospital, all excited. We were happy, you know, thinking that in a few hours our son would be born, that everything would be perfect. But then the hours passed, and things started to get weird. The contractions became stronger, more painful. It wasn't like other times there was something wrong, I felt it. But the midwives, man, they didn't listen to me. They said it was normal, that every mother thinks she can't handle the pain. That's when the fear really started. I tried to explain that it wasn't normal labor pain, that there was something wrong, but no one listened to me. Gabriel was there with me, holding my hand, but I could see that he was getting scared too. We didn't know what to do. And that's how we entered the worst hours of our lives. The next few hours were a nightmare. The pain only got worse, but it wasn't normal contraction pain. It was like something was tearing inside me. I was screaming, begging for help, but the midwives kept saying it was normal. Gabriel, poor thing, was desperate. He tried to reason with the medical team, saying something was wrong, but no one listened. They just kept repeating that the first pregnancy is always more difficult, as if I didn't know that this was my 5th pregnancy. After about 8 hours in that hell, I started to feel weak. It was like my energy was being sucked out. I could barely stay conscious. Gabriel noticed and started screaming for help. It was then that one of the midwives finally seemed to understand that the situation was serious. She called a doctor who took a quick look and rushed out of the room. I remember hearing screams in the hallway, people running. Gabriel was practically kicked out of the room. I wanted to scream for him to stay, but I didn't even have the strength to do that. Suddenly, the room filled with people, doctors, nurses, all talking at the same time. I heard loose words: internal bleeding, uterine rupture, code red. Everything got a little confusing after that. They took me running to the elevators. I remember seeing the overhead lights flashing overhead. Someone was holding my hand, but it wasn't Gabriel. It was a nurse, I think. She kept saying everything was going to be okay, but you could see the panic in her eyes. When we arrived in the operating room, it really hit home. A doctor, I think it was the surgeon, leaned over me and said, "Mrs. Alvarez, you and your baby are in life-threatening danger. We're going to do everything we can, but I need you to be strong." At that moment, I felt a fear that I had never felt before. It wasn't just fear of dying. I was afraid of leaving my children, Gabriel. Fear of never meeting that baby I already loved so much. And that's when everything went dark. I can't say how long I was unconscious. It could have been minutes or hours. But when I woke up, I was no longer in the operating room. I was in a completely different place. A place that would change my life forever. When I opened my eyes, or at least I thought I had, I saw myself in a place that I couldn't really describe in words. It was like I was in the middle of a cloud, you know? It had no walls, no ceiling, no floor. Just a soft, white fog everywhere. At first I was confused. I thought, did the anesthesia make me crazy? But then I realized that I no longer felt any pain. In fact, I couldn't feel my body. It was like I was just consciousness. It's hard to explain. It was then that I saw him. I can't tell if it was a man or a woman. In fact, I don't even know if it was a human figure. It was more like a presence, a light so strong and at the same time so welcoming that I knew right away. It could only be God. He didn't speak, at least not in words I could hear. But somehow I understood everything he wanted to tell me. It was as if we were communicating directly from soul to soul, you know? The first thing I felt was immense love. Man, I can't explain the size of this love. It was as if all the love I had ever felt in my life, for my children, for Gabriel, for my family, was just a drop compared to that ocean of love that God showed me. But along with this love, I also felt a deep sadness. It wasn't my sadness. It was God's sadness. He showed me how sad he is with the way we treat each other here on earth. The wars, the violence, the hatred, all of this hurts him a lot. But I wasn't angry at all, you know? Just a disappointment, a real sadness. Then came the craziest part. God began to show me scenes from the future. I saw natural disasters happening in 2024, gigantic floods, fires devastating entire forests, storms like I had never seen before. It was scary, but at the same time I knew it wasn't the end. Because soon after, he showed me something incredible. I saw a huge spiritual movement starting in August 2024. It was as if people finally understood that they needed to come together, love each other, take care of each other and the planet. It was too beautiful. All this time, I felt an indescribable peace. It was as if all the problems, all the worries in life no longer made sense. I understood that we are all connected, that love is the only thing that really matters. I can't say how long I stayed there. It could have been minutes or centuries. Time didn't make sense in that place. But at some point, I felt like I was being pulled back. The light began to grow dimmer, the fog thicker, and there, suddenly I opened my eyes again. But this time, I was back to reality. The first thing I felt was an intense cold. I was shaking so much that my teeth were chattering. I tried to speak, but my throat was too dry. A nurse noticed that I had woken up and called the doctor. He came running over, checked some monitors, and said something like, "Welcome back, Mrs. Alvarez. You gave us quite a scare." Little by little, I began to understand what had happened. The doctor explained that my uterus had ruptured during labor, causing severe internal bleeding. They had to perform emergency surgery to save my life and the baby's. "It was close," he said. "You lost a lot of blood. We had to do an emergency hysterectomy. I'm sorry, but you won't be able to have any more children." At that moment, I couldn't even process this information properly. All I could think about was my baby. "Where is my son?" I asked in a weak voice. The doctor smiled. "He's fine. His husband is with him now. I'll ask them to bring them here." As I waited, I tried to organize my thoughts. The experience I had it been real? Or was it just a dream caused by the anesthesia? But it felt so vivid, so real. Minutes later, the door opened and Gabriel entered. He carried a little package in his arms and his eyes were red from crying. When he saw me awake, he started crying again. "Jimena, my God, I thought I lost you," he said, approaching the bed. I tried to smile, but even that hurt. "Don't get rid of me that easily," I joked, my voice hoarse. Gabriel leaned over and placed our son in my arms. The moment I looked at that little face, I felt an instant connection. It was the same kind of connection I felt when I met Gabriel, as if we had known each other for a long time. "He's beautiful," I whispered, stroking the baby's cheek. Gabriel agreed, still crying. "He's strong like his mother. The doctor said it was a miracle you two survived." Miracle. Yes, maybe it was. While holding my son, I started to tell Gabriel what I had experienced. About light, about God, about visions of the future. He listened silently, holding my hand. When I finished, he kissed my forehead. "It doesn't matter if it was real or not. The important thing is that you're here. You're both here." Over the next few days, I gradually recovered. The doctor said I was very lucky, but I knew it wasn't just luck. Something had changed inside me, and I knew that my life would never be the same. In the weeks following my release from the hospital, I spent a lot of time reflecting on everything that had happened. It wasn't easy to return to a normal routine after such an intense experience. Every moment with my children, with Gabriel, seemed to have a new meaning. I found myself observing people in a different way. Before, I only saw what was on the surface, the clothes, the way they spoke, the attitudes. Now, it was as if I could see something deeper. I saw the light in each person, even those who seemed most difficult or problematic. I started to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. That grumpy guy at the supermarket? Maybe he's going through a difficult time at home. The gossipy neighbor? Maybe she's just feeling alone. This realization made me have more patience, more compassion towards everyone. Gabriel noticed the change. One day, while we were sitting in the backyard watching the children play, he asked me, "Jimena, what exactly has changed about you? It's like you've, I don't know, found peace." I remained silent for a while, thinking about how to explain. It's hard to put into words, you know. It's like I've gained a new perspective. Before I worried so much about little things, now I can see the bigger picture. I told him how the things that used to stress me out, bills, silly arguments, problems at work, now seemed so insignificant. "The only thing that really matters is love," I said. "The love we have for each other, for our children, for life." Gabriel looked at me with a mixture of admiration and concern. "But what about the visions you had? About the future? The disasters?" I sighed. This part was complicated. How can I explain to someone something that I didn't even fully understand? Look, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I feel like I have a responsibility now to share what I saw, to try to make a difference. Over the next few months, I started making small changes in our lives. I started recycling more, consuming less. I started meditating, practicing gratitude daily. I encouraged the children to be kinder to each other, to help more around the house. I also started talking more openly about my experience. At first, just with close friends and family. Many thought I had gone a little crazy, of course, but others listened attentively, as if something inside them resonated with what I was saying. That's when I realized, maybe this was my mission now. Share this message of love, of unity. Not in a big or flashy way, but in the little everyday things. A smile for a stranger, a kind word for someone who is going through a difficult time. Little by little, I began to feel that it wasn't just me who was changing. The people around me also seemed more open, more connected. It was as if, somehow, the light I had seen in that experience was spreading, and it was like that, with these small changes and reflections, that I started to prepare myself for what was to come, because something inside me knew 2024 would be a decisive year, and I needed to be ready. As 2023 drew to a close, I began to feel increasing anxiety. It wasn't that bad kind of anxiety that I felt before, you know? It was more like an expectation, a feeling that something important was about to happen. At the end of December, I had a very vivid dream. In it, I saw scenes of natural disasters happening in various parts of the world. Floods, forest fires, devastating storms. I woke up scared, with my heart racing. Gabriel, who was already used to my strange moments, as he called them, hugged me and calmed me down. "It was just a dream," he said. But I knew it wasn't. It was a warning. From then on, I started paying more attention to the news. And man, it was scary to see how the things I had dreamed of started to happen for real. At the start of 2024, headlines were about record temperatures, prolonged droughts in places that were normally wet, torrential rains in traditionally dry regions. I remember a day in February when I saw images on TV of a huge flood in Asia. Thousands of people homeless, entire cities underwater. I stood frozen in front of the television, feeling a mix of fear and sadness. Gabriel came home and found me like this. "Jimena, is everything okay?" he asked, worried. I could only point at the TV. "It's starting," I whispered. Gabriel sat next to me, took my hand. "What do you think we should do?" This question took me by surprise. Until then, I had felt a little alone on this journey. Gabriel always supported me, of course, but I felt like he didn't believe 100% in my visions. But there, at that moment, I saw in his eyes that he was ready to help me, whatever I decided to do. "We need to prepare," I said. "Not just us, but everyone. People need to know what's coming." In the following weeks, we started making more significant changes at home. We installed solar panels, started a vegetable garden in the backyard, created a rainwater collection system. The neighbors thought we had gone a bit eco-crazy, but I knew it was necessary. I also started talking more openly about my views. I created a blog, started posting videos on YouTube talking about the importance of taking care of the planet, connecting with other people, cultivating love. In the beginning, almost no one watched. But little by little, I gained followers. I received many messages from people calling me crazy, an alarmist. But I also received messages from people who said that something in my words resonated with them, that they too felt like something big was about to happen. Gabriel, who was always more skeptical, started to change his attitude too. One day he came home with a box full of emergency supplies, flashlights, battery-powered radio, first aid kits. "Better safe than sorry, right?" he said with a somewhat awkward smile. I hugged him tight. "Thank you for believing in me," I whispered. As the months passed and more disasters occurred around the world, I felt like we were in a race against time. But at the same time, I saw signs of hope. People coming together to help victims of disasters, environmental movements gaining strength, a collective consciousness beginning to awaken. And then when July rolled around, I had that strong intuition. It was time to tell my full story, because in August, something big was going to start, and I needed to do my part to prepare people. When August finally arrived, I was a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. I didn't know exactly what to expect, you know. In my visions, I had seen a great spiritual movement beginning, but I had no details of how it would happen. Here I am, on August 3rd, 2024, with my heart racing and my mind full of expectations. Ever since that near-death experience, I've been preparing for this month. The visions I saw showed that something significant would begin in August, a spiritual movement that could change the course of humanity. Over the past few weeks, I have felt a different energy in the air. It's like the whole world is holding its breath waiting for something. It's not just me. Many people I spoke to said they felt the same way. Last night, I sat with Gabriel in the backyard, looking at the stars. "Do you think it's really going to happen?" he asked, holding my hand. I smiled, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. "I don't know exactly what's going to happen," I replied, "but I know something is coming. Something big. I have done my best to prepare myself and help others prepare too. I created a blog and a YouTube channel where I share my experiences and thoughts. At first, almost no one paid attention, but in recent weeks, the number of followers has exploded. It seems like people are thirsty for hope, for a new perspective. I have also organized meditation groups and conversation circles in my community. It's amazing to see how open people are to new ideas, how willing they are to consider that perhaps there is more to life than what we can see and touch. Of course, not everyone believes it. There are many people who call me crazy, a charlatan. Sometimes it hurts. But then I remember that unconditional love I felt during my experience, and it gives me the strength to keep going. Gabriel has been my biggest support. Even when he doesn't fully understand what's going on, he's always by my side, helping me stay grounded. "Remember," he told me this morning, "whatever happens this month, what's important is the love we share and spread." He's right, of course, but I can't deny that I'm excited. What exactly will happen? How will this spiritual movement begin? Will I play an important role in all this? Or am I just a messenger? So many questions, and so few answers. But I know one thing for sure. We are on the verge of something transformative. I can feel it in my heart, in my soul. Now, as I sit here in my office, looking out the window at a world that seems to be on the verge of great change, I can't help but reflect on everything that has happened since that day in the hospital. Sometimes I still wonder if it was all real. Did that near-death experience really happen? Or was it just my mind creating something to make sense of a traumatic situation? But then I remember the feeling of unconditional love, the clarity with which I saw the future, and I know it was real. As real as the ground beneath my feet. The last few months have been a roller coaster of emotions. Expectation, fear, hope, doubt, all mixed together in a whirlwind that sometimes threatens to swallow me. But whenever I feel overwhelmed, I close my eyes and connect with that peace I felt during my experience. This helps me move forward. I look at my children playing in the backyard and wonder what kind of world they will inherit. The visions I saw showed great challenges ahead, natural disasters, conflicts, pain, but they also showed hope. A hope so strong, so vibrant, that it makes my heart race just thinking about it. Gabriel enters the office bringing a cup of tea. "What are you thinking about?" he asks, placing a hand on my shoulder. I smile at him, grateful to have such an understanding partner on this crazy journey. "I'm thinking about the future," I reply. "What might happen this month?" He sits next to me, thoughtful. "Whatever it is," he says after a moment, "we'll be in it together." I nod, feeling a rush of love and gratitude. As the sun begins to set outside, I can't help but feel like we're on the brink of something big, something that could change the course of humanity. I don't know exactly what will happen in the coming days and weeks. I don't know exactly what role I'm going to play in all of this, but I know that whatever it is, I'll be ready. Ready to embrace whatever comes. Ready to do my part to spread love and awareness. Because if there's one thing I learned from this whole experience, it's that each of us has the power to make a difference. So here I am, Jimena Alvarez, on August 3rd, 2024, waiting for the unknown. With a heart full of hope and a mind open to possibilities. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I know that, together, we can create a better world. A world based on love, understanding, and unity. And who knows, maybe in a few years when we look back, we will see that it was this month, this August 2024, that everything began to change. That it was here that we took the first step towards a brighter future. Only time will tell. But for now, I'm here, waiting, prepared, and, above all, full of love. Because in the end, that's what really matters. It is love that will guide us through any challenge the future may bring. So, what did you think of this incredible story? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Activate the notification bell to be notified with each new video. Let's bring more people the hope that there is life beyond what the eyes can see.